Look down at your hands. They feel solid, heavy, yours. Every atom inside them follows one strange rulebook. You have never read it. You live inside it anyway. You already know the double slit experiment, or you think you do. You've seen the diagram. 2 slits, a wall of light and dark bands. Someone handed you the punchline. Particles act like waves. Watching changes reality. You nodded. You moved on. Here's what they left out. The observer in the most famous experiment in physics is not a person. It is not a mind. It is not consciousness. It is a machine. A cold, dumb detector. And reality still flinches. Sit with the correction. Not consciousness, information. You were sold a story about awareness bending the universe. That story is wrong. The truth underneath it is stranger and darker. Stay with me. By the end of this, the way you understand the most famous experiment in physics will not survive. The experiment is 220 years old. Millions of students have run it. And the lesson most people carry away is a myth. Tonight, you get the real one. I will walk you through 220 years, from a candle in 1803 to a photograph of a single particle's path in 2011. Each step removes one comfortable assumption. By the end, you have none left. Before we go back in time, look at where you are. You're holding a phone or watching a screen. That screen glows because of this rulebook. The chip inside it works because electrons obey these laws. The light hitting your eyes right now arrives in tiny packets, particles. You see this experiment every waking second. You just never noticed. Think about the last time you walked into a dark room and flipped a switch. Light filled the space instantly, smooth, continuous, a wave. But it isn't smooth. It arrives in grains. Countless single particles, each one taking a path you were told it cannot have. Your own body runs on the same rule. Right now, electrons are moving through every cell you have. They power your nerves. They fire your thoughts. Each one obeys the experiment you are about to see. You are not watching a story about laboratories. You are watching a story about what you are made of. So, which is it? A wave that fills your room, or a storm of separate particles? You have lived your whole life without an answer. You assume someone had one. They don't. Hold that discomfort. You'll need it. And here's the thing nobody tells you up front. The version of this experiment that truly broke people didn't happen in 1803. It happened in 1961, with something that should never interfere at all. Let's begin where you began. The year is 1803. A doctor named Thomas Young stands in a dark room. You can picture it. One candle, a card, 2 thin slits cut into it. He shines the light through. Behind the slits, a screen. If light were simple particles, you'd expect 2 bright lines. 2 slits, 2 stripes. Clean, obvious. That is not what appears. The screen fills with bands. Bright, dark, many of them. Stripes that 2 slits should never make. This is interference. The light passes through both slits at once. The waves overlap. Where crest meets crest, you get bright. Where crest meets trough, you get nothing. Darkness made from 2 beams of light. Stop and feel how strange that already is. You add light to light, and you get black. 2 open slits make a darker spot than 1 slit alone. That only happens with waves. Young saw it and knew. Light is not a stream of tiny balls. It ripples. Young just proved light is a wave. The world accepted it. For 100 years, case closed. Then came the part the textbooks rush past. The strangeness didn't stay with light. It came for matter, for solid things, for the stuff you are made of. Because you can fire light one particle at a time, one photon alone, and the pattern still builds, slowly, dot by dot. After thousands of single particles, the bands return. How does one particle interfere with itself? It went through one slit. It had to. It's one particle. But the pattern says it went through both. You feel the floor tilt. Good. Keep that feeling. Now remember 1961. A physicist named Claus Jönsson did it with electrons. Not light. Matter. Tiny chunks of you fired one by one through two slits. They should land in two piles. They don't. They build the bands. In a later, cleaner run, 70,000 electrons were recorded one at a time, each a single dot. Together, the wave. Picture it building in front of you. The first dot lands. Random, meaningless. The 10th, the 100th. Still noise, still scattered. You'd swear there was no pattern at all. Then the thousands pile up, and the bands bleed out of the chaos. Each electron landed alone. Not one of them knew where the others would go. Yet together they painted a wave that no single particle should be able to make. So far, this is the story you were told. This is where the story you were told breaks. Here is the part that hooked the world, the part on every poster. You put a detector at the slits. You try to catch which slit each particle uses. You just look. The bands vanish. The moment the path is known, the wave behavior dies. Two clean stripes return. The particle acts like a particle again. You've heard the explanation. Maybe you've repeated it. The observer creates reality. Consciousness collapses the wave. Reality needs a mind to watch it. It's wrong. Here's why. Nothing in the experiment needs a human. Nothing needs awareness. You can leave the room. You can run it in total darkness. You can record the data and never once look at it. The bands still vanish. The observer is the detector, a piece of equipment. It touches the particle. That touch is physical. It carries away which path information. That is what kills the interference. Not your mind, the information. This is the gap in the story you were handed. The word observer tricked a century of people. They pictured eyes. The physics means contact. A measurement is a physical event, alive or not, watching or not. It doesn't care. Think about what that means for the universe. There were no humans for almost all of time, no eyes for billions of years, and measurements were happening the whole time. Every atom bumping another atom is a measurement. Every photon striking a rock writes down a path. The universe has been collapsing its own possibilities since long before you existed. You were never the cause. You are a latecomer. So, the mystic version dies on contact. But notice what replaces it is not comforting. The rule is real. It works without you. It worked before you. It will work after. The question nobody asked until 1982 was simple. Strip the human out completely. Let machines do all the watching. Does reality still obey? In 1982, the apparatus to find out got built. Orsay, France, 1982. The name attached to it is Alain Aspect. This is not the classroom double slit. It is sharper. It is designed to remove your last excuse. You take pairs of particles, born together, linked. The word for that link is entanglement. Measure one and you instantly constrain the other, even meters apart, even with nothing between them. Einstein hated this. He called it spooky action at a distance. He believed the particles carried hidden instructions all along. No magic, just information you couldn't see yet. For decades, nobody could test who was right. Then a physicist named John Bell wrote down a way. A number. Measure the particles enough times, add up the results, and the number tells you the answer. Hidden instructions give one value, quantum mechanics gives another. They cannot both be true. This is the experiment that settled it. The detectors switch their settings in flight. Fast. Faster than any signal could cross between them. No person chooses, no person watches in time. Machines decide. Machines record. Nanoseconds. And reality obeys. The particles stay correlated. The quantum rules hold. Perfectly. No human in the loop. No consciousness anywhere near it. Just cold electronics switching too fast for any mind to interfere. This is the nail. The consciousness story dies right here. The machines watched. They had no awareness. And the universe behaved exactly as the math predicted. To a statistical certainty so high, it leaves no room to argue. And Einstein lost. The hidden instructions he believed in do not exist. The particles were not carrying secret answers all along. There was no path until it was measured. The spooky link is real. The thing he could not accept is the thing the universe runs on. Later versions sealed every loophole he might have hoped for. Tighter setups, faster switches, random choices made by separate machines. The verdict never changed. Reality is stranger than Einstein would allow. So now you know two things. Watching changes the outcome. And the watcher does not need to be alive. That should comfort you. It does the opposite. Because if a dumb machine can do it, the rule is not about minds. It is about information itself. And information, it turns out, you can play with. So what happens if you let the machine watch, then erase what it learned? What if you change the question after the particle has already chosen? The next experiments did exactly that, and the past stopped sitting still. Stop for a second. Pause this video. One word. The first word that hit you when I said the past stopped sitting still. Fear. Impossible. Nonsense. Whatever it was. Write it in the comments now. I read them. I want to see where your mind broke first. Done? Good. Because it's about to break again. There's a question that should not be allowed to exist. It carries the name John Wheeler. The particle reaches the slits. It decides, wave or particle. Fine, you can live with that. Now wait. Let the particle pass the slits. Let it commit. Then, only after it's already through, you choose whether to detect the path. The choice comes too late. The particle already went. It already chose. It doesn't matter. You decide after the fact to look for the path. You get particles. 2 stripes. You decide after the fact not to look. You get the wave, the bands. The particle's behavior at the slits matches a choice you make later, after it was already there. Read that again. Your decision sits in the future. The behavior sits in the past. And they agree. You want to say the particle knew what you'd do. It can't. You want to say it changed its mind. It already passed. The honest description is worse. No fixed past, only a pending one. Until the measurement happens, there is no fact about which path it took. None. The history is not written yet. You write it when you choose to look. This stayed a thought experiment for years. Then the technology caught up. They ran it. Real photons. Real delayed choices triggered after the photon was already inside the device. The result held. Every single time. Now Wheeler pushed it further than any lab. He asked you to look at the sky. Imagine light from a quasar, a blazing core of a distant galaxy. That light left its source 10 billion years ago. On its way to you, it passes a massive galaxy. Gravity bends its path. The light can come around the left side or the right side. Two paths. A double slit the size of the cosmos. The light has been traveling for 10 billion years, older than the sun, older than the Earth. And tonight, you point your telescope. You choose how to measure it. You can ask which side it came around, or you can let the two paths interfere. Your choice, made tonight, sets which path that light took 10 billion years ago. Sit with the scale of that. The decision is now. The journey began before the Earth was born. The honest reading is the same as before. The path was not fixed until you looked. A choice you make tonight reaches back across 10 billion years. If this sounds impossible, it gets worse. Because Wheeler only delayed the choice. The next experiment didn't delay it. It undid it. Now the real blade. You set up the slits. You add a marker. You tag each particle with which slit it used. Secretly, with no human ever reading it. A tiny quantum label. The path information now exists. It is written into the particle. The bands vanish. Of course, the information exists. The interference dies. Here's the move. Before you read the screen, you erase the tag. You destroy the which path information. Not hide it, delete it. You make the path impossible to know. Even in principle, even by anyone, ever. The bands come back. Sit with that. The particle is the same. The slits are the same. The only thing you changed is whether the path information still exists anywhere in the universe. Information present. The particle behaves like a particle. Information erased. The wave returns. This is the lesson the whole field had been circling for decades. It was never about watching. It was never about minds. It is about information. Whether the which path fact exists at all. And that fact is physical. As real as mass, as real as charge. Erase it, and reality reshapes itself to match. Think about what you just did. You didn't touch the particle again. You didn't reach into the past. You only changed whether a piece of information could ever be recovered. And the universe answered. The pattern obeyed the information, not the particle. That is the whole secret. Information is not an idea in your head. It is a thing in the world. It has weight in physics. Move it, hide it, destroy it. And reality moves with it. In the delayed choice version, you erase it after the particle already hit the screen. The dots are already recorded. You sort them later. By whether the information survived. The interference appears in the sorting, decided by an erasure that happened after the impact. The information is what's real, not the eye, not the observer. The fact itself. You were handed a ghost story about consciousness. It was always a story about information, and it was always true. One last step. For 200 years, nobody could watch a single particle travel without destroying the very thing they were watching. Then, in 2011, someone found the crack. University of Toronto, 2011. The name on the paper is Ephraim Steinberg. The old rule was iron. Look at the path, kill the pattern. You get one or the other, never both. For a century, that was the wall you couldn't climb. This experiment found a crack in it. The technique is called weak measurement. You don't ask the particle a hard question, you ask a soft one. You touch it so gently you learn almost nothing from any single photon. One photon gives you a whisper, useless on its own. But you run 80 different positions. You pool thousands of whispers, and a shape emerges. Understand why this should be forbidden. The old rule said any glance at the path destroys the wave. All or nothing. Steinberg's trick is to take almost nothing. A touch so soft it barely disturbs the photon at all. One reading tells you next to nothing, so the wave survives. Useless once, but repeated across countless photons, and the tiny pushes average into a map. You steal a little from each, you destroy nothing, and the path appears. The team reconstructed the average trajectories, the actual paths. Flowing lines curving through the apparatus, bending past the slits, weaving into the interference pattern. They photographed how the particles travel, without collapsing the wave. It made the cover of Science, June 2011. The first time anyone mapped the paths inside the double slit and kept the pattern alive. You were told you could never see the path and the wave together. For 220 years, that was law. This broke the law. Gently. The trajectories match a specific reading of quantum mechanics. One that says the particle really does have a path the whole time, guided by a wave. Not everyone agrees on what it means. They agree on the picture. The picture is real. It exists. You can look at it. So which interpretation is right? After the erasers, the delayed choices, the photographed paths, what is actually happening down there? Nobody knows. And that is not a failure. That is the edge of what you are allowed to know. Here are 6 ways the experts explain everything you just saw. Each one is taken seriously. Each one a single sentence. Pick the one your gut believes. Copenhagen. The wave is just your knowledge, and reality has no definite value until you measure it. Many worlds. Nothing collapses. Every outcome happens, and the universe splits into branches you will never see. Pilot wave. The particle is always a particle, riding a real guiding wave that threads both slits. Objective collapse. The wave is real and physically snaps to one outcome on its own, with no observer required. Cubism. The wave function is your personal bet about what you are about to experience, nothing more. Relational. Reality has no absolute state. Facts only exist relative to whatever is interacting. 6 pictures, 1 experiment. They all predict the same bands, the same dots, the same vanishing pattern. Choose one, and you choose what reality is. Physics cannot choose it for you. Not yet. So go back to your hands. You thought watching needed a mind. It doesn't. Machines watch, and reality obeys. You thought the past was fixed. It isn't. A choice you make later decides what already happened. You thought observer meant eyes. Not eyes, information. Not consciousness, the fact itself. 220 years. 1 candle to 1 photographed path. Every step took something from you. The mind, the fixed past, the solid world. The double slit is not a trick about light. It is the universe telling you, plainly, that reality is not the solid thing you walk through every day. Underneath, it is possibility. It does not settle until something, anything, asks the question. You are made of the same stuff. Your hands, your eyes, the screen in front of you. All of it waiting on a question. Think about that tonight. And here is the part that should keep you up. None of this is fringe. None of it is disputed. Every experiment you just heard has been run, repeated, and confirmed. The interference, the vanishing pattern, the delayed choice, the eraser, the photographed paths. This is the settled, boring textbook physics that your phone depends on. The strangeness is not a theory someone might overturn. It is the floor. It is the most tested framework in the history of science. And it tells you the solid world is a story your senses invented to keep you calm. Which interpretation do you believe? Copenhagen? Many worlds? Pilot wave? Tell me in the comments. One word. I read every one. Stay strange. Send this to a friend who thinks reality is solid.